Okay, and we are live. ¿Qué tal, amigos? Stuart here from Spain Speaks with this evening's live stream. It is 7:35 p.m. mainland Spain time, 6:35 p.m. Canary Island time, and also 6:35 p.m. here in Portugal, and it's the 23rd of July. And today we're going to look at some of the main stories, as I always do, some of the main stories that have caught my attention in the press, and also some comments that have been left on the channel in recent times by viewers. And in the second half of this evening's live stream, we'll go into the chat and we'll check out what is happening there regarding the chat this evening. So straight into the news, and the first article that we're going to look at today, it's about the opposition leader in Spain, Mr. Feijóo. And as we can see, he is toughening his immigration discourse in the midst of the juvenile migrant crisis. Spaniards have the right to go outside and feel safe, he says, in the midst of the migratory crisis in the Canary Islands, with more than 5,500 unaccompanied minors crammed into the island's reception centres and with no definite solution for their relocation. The PP has raised the tone. Alberto Núñez Feijóo has once again on Monday linked irregular immigration and insecurity, as he did in the final week of the Catalan election campaign in May, barely 10 days after Vox broke the 5 regional coalition governments with the PP because they had agreed to take in unaccompanied migrant minors. Feijóo once again opted for his party's more acerbic approach to immigration, arriving in wooden boats from Africa. So there we go, the Partido Popular taking a harder stance when it comes to irregular immigration, as it's called here, or illegal immigration, as some people like to call it. Doesn't really matter whether you call it illegal or irregular. Some people would say that there is a difference between the two, but you'll see in the press here that normally they call it irregular immigration as opposed to illegal immigration, even though, of course, it is illegal because people are arriving from Africa without the correct documentation, of course. And the PP hardening their stance on this type of immigration, a little bit wishy-washy in recent times, because they said that they were going to take in these unaccompanied minors to the autonomous communities where they control power, of course, leading to that split with Vox, the harder right party in Spain. And now the PP, as I said, hardening their speech because they see that Vox ground where Vox was before is vacant, and they want to take over that territory with this anti-immigration stance. So interesting to see what's going on. But while all this is happening, more and more people continue to arrive in the Canary Islands. I think over the last 5 days or so, something like 800 people have arrived, and a lot of these people are unaccompanied minors, children 15, 16 years of age, even younger, that leave their families in Africa and head to Europe looking for opportunity, and they end up in a migrant youth camp. And as we saw last week also, the conditions not very good, as they await a lift, basically, or for someone to take them to other parts of Spain, where no doubt some of them will move on to other European countries where they probably have family members in some of the French-speaking countries, for example, France, Belgium, maybe in part of the Netherlands as well, where there is big migration or migrants living in those countries. And of course, that's where a lot of people want to end up. Spain is not their final destination, but it's a problem at the moment for the government, and it's becoming a hot political topic. Speaking of hot political topics, the Premier or the Prime Minister of the country, President of the government, as he likes to call himself, Pedro Sánchez, has been summoned to court as a witness in his wife's alleged corruption case. A Spanish court on Monday summoned Prime Minister Pedro Sánchez to testify as a witness in an investigation into alleged corruption and influence peddling accusations against his wife that led him to consider resigning in April. Sánchez, who runs minority socialist-led government, will be interviewed by investigating Judge Juan Carlos Peinado at his official residence, the Moncloa Palace, on the 30th of July, the court said. The proceedings are part of a preliminary investigation into whether Begoña Gómez used her position as the Premier's wife to secure sponsors for a university master's degree course that she ran. Peinado said Sanchez's testimony would be convenient, useful and relevant for the investigation to establish whether there was influence peddling. Under Spanish law, close relatives, including spouses, can refuse to answer questions, lawyer Luis Romero told Reuters. So there we go. Pedro Sánchez summoned as a witness in his wife's investigation, the alleged corruption case, as we can see here, still going on, and it gets murkier by the day. And now the Prime Minister, Pedro Sánchez, are drawn in to this circus, if you like, because basically his wife refuses to speak to the judge. I think she went there last Friday to the courts, but didn't say a thing. She's been told by her lawyers to keep it zipped, and she doesn't have to say anything apparently, and that's what she's doing. So we'll see how this one ends up. According to the Socialist Party, it's a storm in a teacup, nothing to see here. And according to the opposition parties, there is something to see. So it depends on what side of politics you are on as to whether you believe she is innocent or guilty, basically. Third piece of news, and the final piece of news, and just when you thought that heat wave, that first heat wave was over, another one hits. And the weather agency here, the AEMET, is warning that Spain is entering another heat wave 2 days after the end of the first one. 2 days after the end of the first heat wave of 2024, Spain will go through from Tuesday until at least Thursday the second peak of exceptionally high temperatures, according to the AEMET on Monday. The heat above what is expected for this time of year will affect large areas of southern and central Spain, where on Wednesday the peak of the wave activates the yellow alert level. Significant risk in the valleys of the Guadalquivir, Guadiana and the Tagus rivers, some areas of the Ebro Valley and southern Galicia. The AEMET special warning indicates that this adverse phenomenon will last until Thursday, because on the following day a cooler air mass is expected to no longer meet the criteria for a heat wave. So there we go. Get ready. Another heat wave that's on its way, if it hasn't already hit parts of the country. We saw the one last week getting up to 44 degrees in some parts of the country. Very hot indeed. You can fry an egg on the pavement in that type of weather. And again, going to be extremely hot. Significant risk in some parts of the country. The usual parts of the country, of course, the centre, the south, and Galicia, the south of Galicia there, and also the north of Portugal experiencing that hot weather. So take care and stay out of the sun in those peak times of the day would be my advice. And if you are outside, stay in the shade and keep hydrated. That's all you can do. First comment here left on the channel recently from Alexander. It's surely for the Spanish to challenge their own governments if monies are being unfairly distributed. The act of reducing tourists is to cut the hand that feeds you, I would say. Also, if a property is, for example, being rented out on the likes of VRBO or Airbnb for high amounts, instead of renting to locals at a less amount, as many Spanish do as well, I'm sure a local tax could be introduced to deter this practice. Yes, people need to challenge their own governments, try to work out where that money is going. Why aren't people seeing it? Well, the fact of the matter is that the country is just saturated with tourists. The tourist industry hasn't had enough. You can't please them. They want 100 million plus, currently sitting at around 84 million international visitors coming to the country. So a lot of people, and basically that's it. People have had enough. We saw the other day on the island of Mallorca, in the city of Palma, some 10,000, someone said maybe even 20,000 people took to the streets to protest. So people are not happy. They want to change the model that Spain has built up over the last 50 or 60 years. Not going to be easy, I will say, but people are calling for a change. So we'll see how politicians react. Another comment here from Leeds United John. I feel for the citizens of Mallorca because it's obvious they are not seeing the benefits of tourism, and some of my fellow Brits do indeed treat that lovely island as a toilet. Bulldoze Magaluf and build affordable homes for the locals. I would like to see bars close at midnight, which is plenty late enough. Yeah, if bars closed at midnight, the locals would also complain, no doubt, because Spain is a nightlife country, not only for foreigners, but also for Spanish people as well. They like to party until the wee hours of the morning. They are famous for that. So if you close the bars at 12 for foreigners, you would also have to do it for the locals as well, no doubt. But yeah, some people do treat Spain badly. People that go to places like Magaluf. John's solution there, I think that his name was John. Yep, bulldoze Magaluf, and maybe start anew with some type of housing for the locals. But again, I don't think that would happen anytime soon. But again, just my opinion. One here from Steve-O. EU citizens have every right to buy property in Spain to retire. This is what Spain signed up for, to get that free EU cash, says Steve-O. Yes, EU citizens do have the right to move. Freedom of movement, also freedom of capital as well. You can invest in other European countries buying property. The fact of the matter is that, and this is where the imbalance happens, is that Spanish people are not buying homes in the north of Europe, but people from the north of Europe are buying homes in Spain. If it was the other way around and Spanish people were buying property in Germany or Norway or Sweden, countries in the north of Europe, then probably we wouldn't have such an issue, but it's not the case. And rich Europeans, well, sometimes not necessarily rich, they just have more purchasing power, as we said the other day, than the average local in Spain, where salaries, as we know, are low. And that's the issue. People come down to Spain with higher pensions than the local pensioners, higher salaries than the locals, and they're able to buy more. And property is one of those things that people buy. And you only have to go around the country to see how many of these Engels and Volkers real estate agencies are popping up to realize that foreigners are snapping up property. Even here in Portugal, that is the case. We saw that one. Next one here from Citywise Travels. With Europe being so overcrowded with tourists, I recommend visiting more underrated destinations like South America. I recommend Buenos Aires, the secret city people need to discover. Interesting. Stop coming to Europe and start going to South America. I think South America will become a viable tourist destination for the masses once they get a few of the issues that they have there sorted out. For example, citizen security. Now, I know some people are going to say, oh no, South America is perfectly safe. It's as safe as Europe, but statistically that is not the case. And Buenos Aires, I was there 25 years ago, and you can't compare anywhere in Argentina with Spain, unfortunately. I remember going to places 50 or 60 kilometers away from Buenos Aires, and you were lucky to find asphalt on the roads in some places. Maybe the central parts of those towns had asphalt, but the rest, dirt roads. Maybe it's changed over the last 25 years. No doubt it has. But yeah, a big difference between Europe 25 years ago when I came here first, and South America 25 years ago when I visited Argentina. So are they on equal terms at the moment? Don't think so. But viable tourist destination for a safe holiday? Not yet, I don't think, for the masses that is. For the wily adventurist, sure, Go to South America on your own. Take your life down there and see what happens. Go for it. Plenty of adventures to be found. But not the same, I don't think. But again, just my opinion. Dyson fraudy, who is renting these scooters out? Surely the council just needs to limit the amount of scooters allowed on the street, as it sounds like there is too many scooters, so can't blame them. Yeah, this is the mobility scooter issue in Benidorm. Made the press here the other day because they're saying that these mobility scooters have invaded the streets of Benidorm. And I must admit, the times that I have been to Benidorm, a lot of people that don't need a mobility scooter getting around on a mobility scooter. You see even kids getting around on mobility scooters. So that's the fact of the matter down there. And you don't see mobility scooters in many other parts of the country. Maybe if you visit an elderly residence, you'll see people on mobility scooters. But I've been all over Spain in recent times to small villages, cities, towns, and I see old folk getting about, and they're not in these mobility scooters. But you go to Benidorm, everyone's in a mobility scooter. So I don't know whether that's something that you bring from the UK, whether they're popular there. I know in Australia, if you go to an elderly residence, you'll see people driving around or riding around in these things. Go to a shopping centre also. But in Spain, they're not popular. They're not popular yet, but in Benidorm they are. And they have invaded the streets. So it is up to the city council, as that person points out there, to sort the problem out. Limit the amount of businesses that are offering this type of vehicle. It's fairly simple, it seems, right? Agu 72. Before, tourism was about sun and sand. Now tourism has reached the cities, and with it the tourist apartments that leave Spaniards unable to rent. Another thing is the overcrowding that must be regulated. As always, the fault of the politicians. Yeah, it's always somebody's fault. Politicians normally are the people that put in the rules and regulations. And city tourism has been encouraged over the last, don't know how many years, in Spain at least. It's been a thing in capital cities around the world, of course. Paris has been a popular destination for a long time. Rome, as we know, London, Edinburgh in Scotland, popular destination. Berlin, Germany, Amsterdam, for example. But now every city and town is cashing in on the tourist phenomena, and things pop up in my stream all the time. Underrated destination, this destination, nobody goes to this place in Spain, and then all of a sudden those places are full of tourists, and we get complaints from locals when rents become impossible to pay, when tourist flats start dominating the rental market, and it becomes an issue. The prices of restaurants go up. Where I am here in Portugal, tourism has transformed this place. When I first came here, maybe 20 years ago, close to 20 years ago, nothing like it is today. They've developed a type of surf tourism where people come from the northern European countries down here to learn to surf. And then they become surfers, if that makes sense. They go back to their inland German towns with their surfboards and their wetsuits, waiting for the next opportunity to get down to Portugal. So this has become a huge industry here, and as a result, you can't find a cheap restaurant anymore. And I was speaking to someone the other day, and he said the same thing. Locals have been priced out of a lot of restaurants in this town, unless you want to pay, top dollar for something. Add that to the cost of living, and you've got expensive prices on restaurant menus. And as I said, a lot of locals just can't afford to go out anymore because their salaries don't increase. And the last one here, Spain from Endor. Spain is the second country in the world in number of tourists. For years, what is reasonable has been exceeded. The country receives tourists twice as many as its inhabitants. How would the UK be if it received 130 million tourists every year? Is there really someone so naive that he thinks that it is just fresh and easy money without side effects in various ways? Yeah, good question. Don't know. But imagine if other countries had double their population every year visiting them. Spain does. 84, 85 million people, population of 40, 45 million. Do the maths, double almost. Portugal, don't know what the numbers are here, but I reckon double or maybe 2.5 times the amount of locals here compared to foreign tourists. So lots and lots of people coming down to these countries, and it does put strain on local services, no doubt about that. Now, into the chat section I'm going to go in just a moment. Before I do that, I'm just going to put the like icon on the screen. There it is. If you haven't hit the like icon yet, please do so. Currently sitting at 42. You might be like number 50, so hit it please if you can. Also, if you have supported the channel in recent times, many thanks, whether it's a super thanks, buying me a coffee, Patreon, thank you very much for that support. Members of the channel too, thank you very much for that support, greatly appreciated. Now, into the chat section I'm going to go. Let me scroll up to the top and see what's going on. First person that I can see here is Pamela saying hello. Hello, Pamela. Good to see you in the chat today. Coming in from the south of Spain, I think. Hansi is back from the Camino Francés. Awesome, doing the Camino de Santiago. Barbara coming in from Playa Flamenca, 30 degrees today, plenty of sunshine there. Mary coming in, glad to catch up with the lives again. Missed a lot as her husband was unwell, but thankfully on the mend. Good to see, Mary, that your hubby is getting better. TOL coming in from El Puerto de Santa Maria, mucho calor, 35 grados. Strong winds helping to endure the heat. Thanks, Al, for that. Hot down there, 35. High flyer John, greetings everyone from the UK, Essex to be exact. John, thanks for that. Paul is in Galicia, 38 degrees there. Wow, that is a stinker. Add that with the humidity, unbearable almost. Richard coming in from North Yorks, hoping everyone is well. Pleasant there, 22 there, but one day last week, 27. Hot for Yorkshire, 27 degrees. Tony coming in from Ashford in the UK, hoping that I'm enjoying my break in Portugal. Thanks, Tony. I am. Thank you very much for that. Scott coming in from Monforte del Cid, sweating, so another hot destination, probably copping that second heat wave of the summer that we saw before. Probably going to top 40 degrees in some parts of the country. TOL just got a parking ticket in a handicap spot. I have a handicap placard from California, which according to the EU and Spain law should be legal. Have to go to the police tomorrow to protest. Yes, Al, that is an issue that many people have nowadays. I think even people from the UK no longer able to park down here in those spots. We have had some complaints on the channel in recent times about that that was a right that was taken away. Don't know whether it's been restored, that right. If you are have a handicap, well, whatever it's called, a card that you put up on the dash. So I hope you get that one sorted out, Al. The police station is next to a great churro restaurant. There we go. So you can kill two birds with one stone tomorrow morning. Sort out your ticket and get some churros. Sani watching later. Have a good evening. Thanks, Sani, for that. Hope you do too. Erica coming in from 31 degrees in Terrassa. Too hot, but with age, I seem to bear heat with less patience. Love the video on the pros and cons. Worst bureaucracy, French, not Spain. Yeah, but of course, talking about Spain only, Erica, and bureaucracy doesn't seem to get any better. I was very lucky at my police visit that I was able to say that I can bring the document back when I go and pick up my card. But yeah, you get in there without the correct documents, you get sent home, and you have to try and make another appointment. And even trying to get an appointment online is an issue with the police station, I'll tell you that. Andrew coming in from Amariña in North Galicia. Very hot and sunny, humid today. There we go, humid weather there in Galicia. Ed saying that how many of these anti-tourism protesters stand to lose their jobs if tourists go away? Don't know. Have no idea what the figures are or who works in tourism or who doesn't. No idea, Ed. Can't answer the question. Larry coming in from Tazacorte. Sunny there. Very pleasant, 28 degrees. What else we got going on here? JAL telling me that I need to address the real issue. Foreign governments via shell companies buying up in Spain and taking the profits of rentals outside Spain. Don't know whether it's foreign governments or not. Can you specify which governments you're talking about there? JAL? Put some names. Is it the French government? Is it the Italian government? Is it the Moroccan government? Put some names there. Let us know who these foreign governments are. Emilio de Soto, can you imagine what Pedro has to say about his missus questioning, Senor Pedro, is your missus an honest person? Pedro answers, of course. Well, that is clear. She's not guilty. Pedro is a well-known liar. Spelling mistake. Yeah, we'll see if he does testify. By all reports, he's not going to say anything either, I don't think. So I'm not sure. The press on the left side of politics is outraged that a judge would call a politician or the Prime Minister to testify in a case like this. So I read the other day that the government is saying that this judge is trying to become famous by getting the Prime Minister to testify. It's his claim to fame, his 15 minutes of fame. Don't know. But all we know is that Ms. Begoña Gomez, refuses to testify. And she's trying to get the support of the government and also the power that they have politically and also when it comes to media to make this case go away. But it's still making the press. Jimdo's on holiday. Talk soon. Thanks, Jimdo. Have a good one. Todd, mobility scooters craze, perhaps imported from the US Walmart culture. Comes from somewhere, not sure where it comes from, Todd, but it's definitely not something that you'll see in many places in Spain. Primarily because if you go to a lot of towns and villages in Spain, you wouldn't get very far on one of these mobility scooters with the quality of the pavement. Sometimes it can be very uneven, let's say. And I don't reckon you'd get from A to B on one of these mobility scooters in a lot of towns and villages in Spain, from what I've seen, of course. Another thing is that you're in Benidorm with these long promenades along the beach where you can zip up and down fairly flat in that part of Benidorm, of course. And people just either too lazy to walk or don't have the ability to walk after 10 or 12 pints. Probably that is the case, the latter. Z. Carlos, tourism is not the problem in Spain. It's a scapegoat. And politicians blame Airbnb. Everybody's getting blamed for something. The problem is not tourists. Again, yelling there is Zay. August saying that any tips on getting a job as a foreigner with only knowing the basics of the language? I'd take any job I could as long as I have some cash flow. Well, if you speak English, you could probably teach English somewhere, or you could teach another language. French teachers, German teachers are in demand, so you could probably get some cash coming in that way. Otherwise, you try and work for an international company that only deals in English, or maybe become a digital nomad, work from a company abroad and move to Spain and take up that digital nomad visa option, which of course is now available. How long it's going to be around for, I don't know, but get in while you can with that. Or as I said, if you speak English fluently, teach, or whatever language you speak. You can find a demand for that. Margarita saying mobility scooters are extremely popular in Chiclana. There used to be one or two, but now there is an explosion and motorized wheelchairs. There we go. So spreading are these scooters. Eric is saying on the topic of mobility scooters, a neighbour of mine can't afford one for his wife who can't walk any longer. More often than ever, all the neighbours have to help them to get it into a taxi. Yeah, it's an issue, isn't it? If you lose mobility, you want to still be able to get around. If you can't afford one of these scooters, it's an issue, of course. Mary saying, I don't know, but maybe the lack of properties in some areas due to rehousing immigrants. It must make a lot of difference to the amounts arriving. There will never be an answer, unfortunately. Yeah, I don't know whether the immigration aspect is... I don't know whether somebody comes from Africa and moves into a home in some areas. I don't know. I know a lot of people are coming from South America, moving into rural Spain where there is an imbalance in the population. People are leaving, people are moving in there. And of course, cities, there's extra stress put on cities when a lot of people come in. But all of these people, as I say, coming from Africa, the majority, and anyone will tell you this, the majority move on to other European countries. So a lot of people saying that immigrants are the problem, not tourists. I don't really necessarily agree with that. What else we've got going on here? Muhammad has been accepted in the University of Zamora. Any advice? Not really, Muhammad. It's a nice city there in the north of Spain, close to the Portuguese border. I went there a few years ago, did a video. Check that out if you want. Plenty of churches. If that interests you, looking at the architecture of those buildings, plenty of those types of buildings there. Cost of living, decent, I would say. And yeah, it's an interesting city, but cold in winter. So get ready for that. Hot in summer, cold in winter. Marcus has put a super chat down. Thanks, Marcus, for that. Glass of chilled Vinho Verde. Not one of my favorites, Marcus. I'm going to be honest there. The old Vinho Verde. I just prefer just a regular white wine rather than the Vinho Verde, the green wine, if you like, or the, what do they call it in Galicia? They call it Albarino. That is right. Zoe coming in from the oven that is Madrid, hot there. Whew, heard there was a windstorm the other day as well. August is actually moving to El Puerto. Beautiful city. There we go. Good luck with that. Very British-scented comments. Well, probably because the majority of people that watch these live streams are from Britain. Probably wise, eh? What? John say, who do you think is... Exactly. Who do you think is watching? I don't think too many people from Brazil are watching, to be honest. But there could be one or two. TOL has a mobility scooter to get around. Needed it before the knee replacement. I've given it to the mother-in-law. There we go. Yeah, when the dodgy knees couldn't get around, so needed one of those mobility scooters. Late today, the grandchildren are over from Seville, says Janet, valued member. Thanks, Janet, for that. Glad that you were able to pop in. 123 is also a bit late. Listen back later, no problem. And that's it, the end of the live stream. Mohammed is from Tunisia. So moving from Tunisia, where it's obviously going to be a lot warmer than it is in Zamora in those winter months. So prepare for that, Mohammed. That's what I would say. But as I said, check out that video that I did on Zamora about 4 or 5 years ago, I think I went there. Yeah, I liked it. I liked Zamora. And also other areas close to there, interesting places to visit. What else? Let's have a look here. JL, put some names down. Russia, China, and various Middle Eastern countries. There we go. Buying up all of the property in Spain. There we go. So it could be, I mean, I've got no idea who's buying up all the property in Spain. But if JL thinks that it's Russia, China, and various Middle Eastern countries, there we go. Vinho Verde is not just Albarino. It's a style of wine from northern Portugal, and it can be white, rosé, or even red. Just means green as in young. There we go, young wines. Lorcan saying, hi, there's a lot of Brazilian people in Portugal. I'm watching from Ireland. Yeah, of course, because it's a logical destination for people from Brazil. They speak the language, they speak the lingo. So when they arrive in Portugal, it's like second home. They're able to get around and do their day-to-day without any problems at all. They don't need to learn a new language. But if a Brazilian person moves to Spain, they've got to learn the language first. But they move to places like Portugal, of course. And I have heard that over the last few years, lots of Brazilians coming to live here, obviously because of the economic situation in some parts of Brazil and the lack of opportunity. They think that here the grass is greener. And a lot of people working in the service industry from Brazil. You can hear the accent, of course, it stands out. All right, now that's the end of the live stream. Thank you very much for watching this evening. I'm going to wrap it up. I'll be back again tomorrow with some more content, hopefully. I'll be back again on, when is it? On Thursday, I think it is, with another live stream. So hopefully I'll see you guys for that. Hasta luego, hasta entonces, adios, bye-bye, and have a great rest of the day.